Hello, hello, hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Dish, Above Board TV, Rose Gauntlet, lots of other things.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 385. And we're recording on September 2nd, 2025. Board Games Insider, powered by Board Game Geek. And Corey showing his pretty Board Game Geek mug. Very
I
cool.
love these mugs.
Yeah, they're really cool. Nice style. So yeah, go check out the Board Game Geek store. They've got an amazing amount of stuff. This is not a sponsored notice, but they got an amazing stuff. I'll continue to use my Quarks bar, which is bigger than my head almost. Coffee cup, which Corey loves. Corey, it's good to see you. I'm
Yeah.
leaving right after this. I got to get out of here. So let's go, man. Let's go. What do you got going on?
It has been interesting. As you know, there's a lot of trips coming up, so I'm getting ready. I have suitcase on the bed. I have a group coming to the house tomorrow. Right after that group is done, I'm heading off to Florida to avoid certain horrible people. And
Unless
then I
I'm
am
not,
heading to
unless I'm not the
CubeSCon up
horrible
in
person,
Syracuse.
unless I'm not the horrible person, which because you're coming to see me,
Uh,
me.
and I feel bad. I'm missing the retreat. I really do enjoy the retreat. It's one of the best places for just pure nonstop gameplay.
Yep.
But no, I'm not making the retreat this year. I did go to Pacificon, which is a local convention in Santa Clara, which is a little just outside San Jose, California, and had a fantastic time. I visited my friend Peter, who is the founder of Wizards of the Coast, and we played SETI, which I had played a couple times, and it was okay. I liked it. It was a bit long and a bit convoluted. I played it with two players with Peter and loved it. Oh man, this was fantastic. So now I have a new kindled fire for that game. Also, quick shout out. I played with absolutely lovely group of people, April and her friends, and we played an old game called Chakra, which was a really light bead movement game, which was really fun. And I introduced them to Beasts, which is a new cooperative game that came out at Gen Con from Clarence Simpson. So it's been more running around and doing crazy things. But now getting ready for more running around and crazy things.
That's just awesome. As I implied at the top of the show, I am leaving immediately after this recording to go to the Dice Tower retreat, where I will miss Corey sadly, but see hopefully a lot of other friends up there. That goes on basically starting tomorrow, but hey, we're gonna get there on a Tuesday, stay through the end on Sunday. After that, I come home for 2 days, and then I pack the car and I go back to Orlando for an event that I'm going to meet Corey for, which is really great, and a lot of other friends. World Series of Board Gaming. Oh my God, I'm always so excited when I say those words. I'll be there from September 19th through 23rd. It's a little late to get tickets now, though maybe they're available. Definitely the open gaming tickets would be available. But so if you're like local in Las Vegas, come on down, hang out, let's game, let's party like old rock stars in Las Vegas because, that's what I do, No, I don't. I don't party hard, but I'd love to have see you play a game, have a drink.
Yeah,
That'd be
you
great.
you head to bed by 10 p.m. pretty
Yep.
regularly.
I kind of think it's a little later than that, but hey, okay. What do we got next? Oh, and then like right after that, BGG at Sea, Western
Yeah.
Mexico. So I'm going to be flying back to the West again. I'm going to be hanging out in LA for a few days because I really have never been to LA since I was a kid. I've flown in, I've flown through.
Wow.
I've went to Disneyland when literally when I was like 5 or 8 or I don't know, a long time. So do a little pre-trip and then get on the BGG at Sea Western Mexico. If anybody out there, any fans are out there, let's make sure that we hang out and talk about whatever you like to talk about. And plenty of adult bevs to have at the Schooner Bar on the Royal Caribbean ships, which I love so much. The piano bar, I love going there at night. Got about a month, 3 weeks at home after that. 2 weeks at home after that. Now looking at the dates. And then I head off to the Essen trip for first a pre-trip in the Netherlands. Gonna hang out with Zev and a couple of friends like Holger, Anders, and we're gonna do some escape rooms. And I've never been to Amsterdam, so I'm gonna check that out for a couple of nights. Then head over
That
to
sounds
Essen.
awesome.
You head over to Essen, and I'll see you there, I assume, right?
Yeah, are all three of us going to be at Essen?
Of course we are. We'll
Oh
definitely
my
we'll
goodness.
definitely record together. That goes without saying.
That sounds awesome.
Final thing in my life, we have to mention the outstanding amount of buzz already on the Dogs of War campaign for Play 2Z, which is the second game in the Shut Up and Sit Down Presents line. Now, why am I saying that? There's almost 4,000 people who have already signed up in the the what do you call that? The preview, the preview
Yep.
splash page. Like 30, I just looked at it a little bit ago, but it was in the high 3,000s. By the time you hear this, I'm sure it's gonna be over 4,000. We've barely been doing anything on this. Shut Up and Sit Down mentioned it, of course, so their fans are excited because it's one of their 10 rated games. We'll have a video coming from them in the relatively near future, so check that out. The campaign starts September 22nd, which is about 2.5 weeks from now, something like that. I don't know. It's in that time frame. But I would go over to gamefound.com, either type in Play to Z or Dogs of War. You'll find it, and you can sign up to be notified when we launch, which again
Yeah.
is
Paolo
September
Mori, one
22nd.
of my very favorite designers.
Paolo Mori, excellent, great designer, absolutely, without a doubt. Shut Up and Sit Down presents line. They love this game, and they carry a big stick, being the number one media outlet for board games. So very cool. And now let's get over to the event deck. All right, Corey, we have a decent amount of news here. The first one
Yeah.
is something we actually forgot to do last week because this came out over a week ago. And this was really bad news for a certain struggling company that used to be the glory of the industry almost. And this is CMON. CMON, which is a publicly traded company on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, I like to mention that, has put out a profit warning. They have to do these things to indicate to their stockholders what they believe is going to happen in the future. These are not in stone, but they have to do this. Otherwise, they can be fined for not disclosing when they know,
Which they've been fined before.
which they have been fined for various things before. The first thing is CMON is saying that they could reach an $8 million loss for the first half of 2025, which is almost three times its overall profit from the last 10 years. This is on board.
Wow.
This came out on Board Game Wire. Let me do a little bit of this, but those numbers right there speak for themselves. Board game crowdfunding major CMON has warned its losses for the first half of 2025 could be as high as $8 million, a figure that dwarfs their profits for the previous 10 years
Yeah.
combined. The,
I think the really important thing off this article is as consumers, we tend to only see revenue. We only see the raw numbers coming in, and we don't see any expenses on the back end. So you can't assume that a company that has multi-million dollar Kickstarters is actually making multi of millions. Simon's been running on a very expensive budget for a very long time. Most of their Kickstarters have been these very expensive IP Kickstarters, and their costs have been outrunning their income. So just remember, because you spent a lot on a game or a Kickstarter made millions does not mean the company is surviving.
that is a very good statement. Getting in $1 million, for instance, that's a small Kickstarter for them, does not mean
Yeah.
you made $1 million. You still have to produce the game. You still have to ship the game. You still have to do all this stuff. So it's not a layup. Anyway,
Maybe perchance pay Marvel.
Anyway, anyway, I am not a financial advisor, and if I was a financial advisor, I would not be advising to buy CMON stock anytime soon. Do you know that they trade for less than 1 penny in Hong Kong dollars, which is 1/7 of a US dollar. Really, really, really struggling.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly. No podcast would be complete if we did not go a little bit down the road of
What is
Diamond
this
Comics.
diamond company of which you speak?
Diamond Comics asks the court to order Sparkle Pop, who bought Diamond Comics, the comic distributor portion, to stop selling consignment inventory. So Diamond, the bankrupt company, right, who is now trying to make money by
Yeah.
selling its assets, is actually doing a good thing here. At least it looks like on paper. They're trying to get the court to tell Sparkle Pop, who now controls apparently this consignment inventory, to stop selling it and to order payment, assess fees, and punitive damages. And here's where it comes from ICV2. Diamond Comic Distributors has asked the bankruptcy court to order Sparkle Pop, the company that acquired its comic distribution and toy game assets, to stop selling consignment inventory, pay for what it's sold to date, and order Sparkle Pop to pay Diamond's attorney fees and punitive damages. The motion argues that Sparkle Pop's actions, which first came to light earlier this month, are, quote, ongoing, knowing, and willful violations, unquote, of the automatic stay issued immediately on filing of the Chapter 11 bankruptcy case,
Yeah.
which prevents any third party from seeking to exercise control of the property of the estate. Very, very interesting argument. Let me
Yep.
finish this part. While the actual ownership of the consignment inventory remains very much in dispute, and we've talked about that a lot, Diamond argues that because it is in possession, Diamond Comics, the bankrupt estate, is in possession of the property, and it has contractual rights over it. The stay applies. So this is a really good thing for a litany of small to large companies that have consigned with Diamond Comics and have now getting hosed because of what Sparkle Pop is doing.
Yep. And the article goes on to list exactly how much money in inventory is being held by Diamond, potentially being sold for assets. And there's a couple big names on there. The biggest one is Dynamite Entertainment, which has put out articles we've talked about in the past that they are actually the company is in jeopardy because of the amount of money being held in this hostage situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to call it a hostage situation, but it's certainly from the layman. And let's face it, you and I are not bankruptcy lawyers, even
Well,
friends of this.
they don't know if they're going to get their money.
Right.
They
But
have, so specifically with Dynamite, they have $500,000 worth of inventory being held at Diamond, which at any minute they might just lose.
it would be very interesting, hint, 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 to any bankruptcy lawyer that listens to us, hint, 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 to send us some information about what they think is going to end up happening here. Because, well, we find it all very fascinating. And continuing in Diamond Comics, this is crazy. The biggest Diamond Comics fee bill of all was just submitted. Investment bank Raymond James submits a request for compensation. Investment bank Raymond James and Associates, which advises Diamond Comic distributors on its financing and asset sales, has submitted its final request for compensation to the Federal Bankruptcy Court, supervising the Diamond Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and it's the biggest fee bill to date. The total amount still outstanding is $3,338,928, which includes $66,098 of expenses. The fees include $2,500,000 plus transaction fee for the universal distribution purchase of Alliance Game Distributors, $748,000 plus for the ad populum company Sparkle Pop acquisition of Diamond Comic Business, and the $162,000 for the employee group purchase of Diamond UK. So you can't do these things. So context here, right? This is ICV2 again. Context here is that a small company, not any company, no company can simply say, okay, we're bankrupt and now we're selling these things and everything's done, even if they could pay everybody back. You need an advisor who can actually execute on this. You need lawyers
Yeah,
and an
yeah.
investment. And when it's this much money, you need an investment bank to figure it all out. And Raymond James is a
And
major investment bank, not like
remember,
Goldman, but they're
the
major.
lawyer fees are the very top of the list of what must be paid first.
Right. Exactly. It's crazy. And when this thing all happens, that's right. The lawyers, I think, even come ahead of the
Oh yeah,
of
they're
the
very
creditors.
first.
Yeah,
Because if that weren't the case, no lawyers would work for bankruptcy.
exactly. Right. They need to be paid because they're doing a lot of work just to unravel this disgusting
Nothing
onion.
else would happen.
Right. Exactly. So, uh, the bankruptcy estate, the Diamond Comics estate, right, which is the one that is trying to sell all of the pieces, is in virtual liquidation state. They don't have the money to do anything. They can't pay
Yeah.
the fees. It's uglier by the moment. More to come. So this is something that actually happened a few weeks ago, and I'm sad that we didn't know about it. It's not good news, but one thing that we want to do is to bring you this kind of stuff out of Europe. And this was only reported on a French website, to my understanding, which Google happily translates into English for me. And this is that Funforge, Funforge is in liquidation. And that's the last word from its founder. The end is here for Funforge, and this was on ludovox.fr, which you can go there, search for Funforge, of course, and get the full article. French publisher Funforge, known for Takedo and Monumental, has been in receivership since July 23rd, 2025, ending several months of financial difficulties. Signs of crisis dated back to the pandemic, layoffs in early 2024, significant delays from Monumental, very mixed reception of the game Far Cry, despite the sale of Takedo license to Stonemaier Games in 2024. That was a big piece of news.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
now with Stonemaier, which cleared part of the accounts. The company has not been able to return to balance. The commercial court, after a period of observation, has recorded the final shutdown. So
Now,
he, go ahead.
Funforge has been in trouble for a while. So it started way back April of 2022. They did a crowdfunding project for Far Cry and had to cancel it out of financial difficulties and issues with the campaign. They then put all of their Kickstarter campaigns on hold due to financial problems in June of 22. And then, of course, nothing of significance happened with the company until they started selling off IPs, and the big notable one was Stonemaier in October of 24. So we
Right.
kind of knew that things weren't great with Funforge.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, The next one is behind a paywall. So I can't get to this one. Can you get to this article? This is the Washington Post is saying that board games stave off dementia. I love that article. So it's because that I'm I'm
Yeah,
I'm getting close to my age where dementia might kick in. No, no, not quite. I hope. Corey, can
I
you read this?
suspect that you've had all the oncoming signs for a very long time, probably since your teens.
Is that really a nice thing to say? I'm just gonna go with that. Okay.
It's the nicest thing I've said about you today.
Ugh,
So the
wow.
Washington Post has an article, Want to reduce your risk of dementia? Play a board game. These studies have been going on for a long time. And every once in a while, a nice big article comes out that summarizes our side of the board game industry and talks about potential health benefits and mental benefits. So this is a really nice article by Miri Kim. Again, it's the Washington Post. I just want to say that this article and the next one were given to us by a friend of the channel, Marion, who is our fake lawyer. And happy birthday to Marion. Today is
Oh, happy
actually
birthday.
her
That's right.
birthday.
I sent her a happy birthday before you sent her a happy birthday.
You did. You're better than me.
I am. Well,
Uh, so the article goes on, the global board games market has an estimated value of $18.5 billion and is projected to grow by 5 billion from 25 to 29. Uh, and they list classic games, Monopoly, Scrabble, Go, but also are talking about Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, and Wingspan. Um, there is a certain complexity, even for simple board games, in this process of understanding the game system that demands something from your cognition. And this is Carla Sousa, games researcher at the Center for Research in Applied Communication. So the most recent study they looked at 17 cognitive and physical activities, and only four were significant in being associated with a lower risk of dementia. and they were reading, dancing, playing a musical instrument, and board games.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, so keep on playing those board games, uh, and basically stay as crazy as you are.
That is very, very, very cool.
So
You
that
also
was a really interesting article. It goes on longer.
yeah, but you know what? Keep playing board games. You hopefully won't become demented like me. What's the next one here from out of Dragon Con?
So the big news from Dragon Con, and this blew up all over social media and the internet this morning.
Wow.
An artist was thrown out of Dragon Con for selling AI art at the convention.
That
Um,
is weird.
so a vendor exhibiting under the name Oriana Garez at DragonCon in Atlanta this weekend was asked to pack up their table with police present after they were accused of selling AI artwork as if it were their own. So this is more on the controversy of AI. And of course, it gets really weird because it is the law that AI cannot be copyrighted, which leads to AI cannot be claimed as your own. And that's probably the basis for the legal side of it. But of course, in our industry, we are really anti-AI art. And I do want to put my usual statement here. I am not against AI as a tool. I think it's very useful and very powerful. I'm against theft of art.
Yep, agreed.
So,
This is a very, I mean, it's really interesting because it certainly goes into that Dragon Con currently lacks a clear public policy addressing AI art in its artist gallery or exhibition guidelines. It's a very specific statement it has here. Um,
yeah.
and and if he was selling it as if it was I did this art, digitally, right? He did it, he physically did it versus he used pick it, pick the AI art generator of your choice there. If he was selling it that way, I can see him being thrown out. If he's just selling AI art and says this was generated by AI or whatever the case may be, then I don't see a legal grounds for getting rid of him. I don't know. It doesn't go into
There's not a
what he
legal grounds
stated.
there, but there's an ethical grounds there
Sure.
because the people who attend Dragon Con are not going to be happy about AI art being sold.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Um, this is also interesting because last year there was uh, there was art and AI issues at Dragon Con as well. Cedar Sanderson's cover for the novel Goblin Market was a 2024 Dragon Awards finalist in the
Oh my
Best
God.
Illustrative Book Cover category.
Oh, that's a
But
bad
about
one.
5 minutes after the ballot was listed and people pointed out it was AI, it was quickly removed.
Wow. Yeah,
So
that is truly unethical if you're
that
if
was last year.
yeah, you cannot put forward art that you're not indicating is not yours, right? That is truly unethical. So, all right, this is a very interesting thing. We're done with the news. Let's get to strategy and tactics. All right, the first one here is from Sean Fleury, definitely a friend of ours, but it's very
Oh,
interesting.
Sean is an amazing dude. In case anybody doesn't know, when I was doing news for the Dice Tower, I had the Dice Tower Now podcast. Sean was one of my writers in the background.
Oh, that's very cool.
So, good friend.
Good
So
guy.
Sean writes, "Hello, insiders, longtime heckler, first-time questioner. With the increase in attendance at PAX Unplugged, do you foresee it becoming a convention that will be more desirable for publishers to release product at, or is it too close to the end of the year to be fiscally effective? Would you be surprised to see a shift in release dates so they're closer to PAX and further away from Origins?"
It's a good
Really
question.
interesting. Yeah, that's a really interesting one that I've
Yeah,
talked about a lot. Um, right now, the two conventions that are really the most important for releases are Gen Con and Essen.
without a doubt.
And there's always this debate about how much time do you need between a release, which creates hype, and the Christmas season. And PAX, although it's growing tremendously in popularity, is right before Christmas. So it's not an effective date to release something new or certainly to announce something that's releasing in the future. Having said that, I think pandemic threw off our release schedule. Pandemic showed that our industry can survive pretty well without convention-derived release schedule. So I think a lot of games released
Yeah.
just randomly throughout the year, and this was an extension of crowdfunding releasing randomly throughout the year.
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
all
yeah,
very correct. Very correct. And I'm going to say that, games will slip and miss release dates very often. There are games that miss Essen, or you'll find them at Essen in very small quantities because they were air shipped in, and
yeah,
they're finally there in the United States. They finally get there in time for an early December. In this year, it's a late November PAX Unplugged. I think
right.
this convention is big enough at 40 plus thousand people now to still be very big for the hype train. That's all. So will
Yeah.
publishers specifically target this convention for a new release? No, in my opinion, because they want it earlier for the broader holiday season. However, they will bring new releases here, push them hard. Somebody sees it and says, "This is a game I want to give to myself, to
Yeah.
my
I think it's
spouse."
more specific than that. I think PAX has taken the role of the first US convention where Essen releases are for sale. And it becomes a shopping con
Hmm.
for the Christmas season for the European releases that most people didn't have access to because most people in the US don't go to Essen.
Small disagreement there, but you're correct. First major con, but the first con
Yeah.
after Essen is BGG Con, which I'm going to and not making packs this year, where I used to sell at Stronghold, used to sell all my Essen releases. They weren't even in stores yet, a lot of them, and I would be bring stuff in, and I would do very well there because of all of these brand
Well,
new
the
releases.
dealer side at PAX is so much bigger
Yeah.
than the dealer
Oh,
side at BGG. So
yeah,
if you're shopping for an Essen release, PAX is generally the big US outlet for that.
without a doubt. Vincenzo Alvarello, PhD, he's Zacco's soldier.
Oh.
Thinking about the new tariffs, comes from April, which I am going to assume are still in place. Yes, they are.
Uh,
How much permanent or long-term damage do you think is done each month to the hobby gaming industry? If they are lifted, how long does it take to recover? I know predictions are in January. Our predictions are in January, predictions episode. But what do you expect will happen for the rest of 2025? Well, since we have 4 months, 5 months under our belt, Corey, what do you think about how tariffs have affected the industry so far, and
uh,
what do you think for the
yeah.
rest?
I think they've shifted the production of games into small, cheap games. A lot of companies have delayed their large board games with high price tags because tariffs impact those so much more significantly. I think it's also created a shift from, sorry, my voice is being weird. I think it's also creating a shift from retail to crowdfunding because crowdfunding can do a different model of how they deal with tariffs. They could just
Sure.
treat it at the end like a tax
Right,
because
right, right.
really it is a tax on the consumer.
It's a tax on the consumer. It is. And don't anybody try to argue that with me. Um, yeah, and I think that we are still in a who the heck knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's the
Many,
unpredictability that's killing us
yeah,
right now.
many companies delayed a lot of projects. Play to Z delayed a lot of projects due to 145% tariffs, which were in effect when Vincenzo put this out there. Now we're at 30. 30 is a manageable number for us. Not good, but manageable. So let's see what happens. I'm going to assume that we're going to see 30 for quite some time, and we can manage around that.
I still think it's completely unpredictable. I think our government, depending who they're currently mad at and how mad are they, I think it still could go anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Adam Ashad, he's a writer on BGG. Uh, Number one, how often do you play board games? Weekly, daily, only at conventions, which is basically daily for you hooligans. That's
He's
great.
talking to you. You're the hooligan.
You might be a hooligan too. Do you feel like you get to play enough? Two, when thinking about board game plays, do you think of online gaming the same way as in-person gaming? Does it count as a real play for you? Does it scratch the same itch, or does it serve a different function in your gaming life?
All right, all
Let me
right.
let me go first.
Go for it.
I uh, almost play daily now, but not because I'm sitting at a table with Paula. It's because we have Board Game Arena. Hate give them a lot of shout outs on this thing. It's unbelievable how much you can play, how many different games. It's crazy. Paula just says that, in the evening after dinner, want to play a game? Boom. We just get on Board Game Arena because we're too lazy to take one of the games off the shelf. So it's not quite daily, maybe every other day or something like that, because we do watch a decent amount of geeky TV and stuff like that. And I do
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely 100% think it counts the same way, scratches the same ish, the only itch. The only thing is, when you're on BGA, you're sometimes not playing in real time, so that's not exactly the same thing. We play in real time on the couch often. Uh, and you're playing with strangers, which I like to play with my friends. So not the same exact itch, but it's pretty close. What do you think, Corey?
I have a little bit of a different tact on it. I'll take
Okay.
number two first. For me, online board game playing is a very different feel than board game playing. To me, it's more like a video game. And I have a very long history with video games, having been first generation video game player in the 70s. And online with somebody distant still is a little awkward for me, where I feel like I'm speaking to invisible people in the room. Even recording the podcast, I'm sitting here talking loudly. There's no one around me. It's different than me being face to face with you.
You're looking at me. You're literally
I
looking at
I
me.
am looking at you, but I still feel self-conscious about talking to
Oh,
myself in a closed room.
you should.
So online games feel very, very different to me than board games. How often do I play board games? I'm going to say 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And this is just in person, board in front of me games. Do I feel like I get enough play? Uh, yeah, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I usually play intensively at conventions and such, and then I take a
Mm.
break for a little bit. So
Yeah.
this 4 times a week is an average. I will sometimes go a whole week without playing.
Yeah, that whole thing about the conventions, it depends on the convention if how intensive, right? So Dice Tower Retreat, intensive. Our get together next week, intensive. Go to Gen Con, you might not play a single game. I mean, it's, unless you're sitting at the bar and you go, hey, let's whip out this quick game here and you play it. Of course, it's so much stuff going on, but very good question.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Adam. We have Andres Silisons from Latvia at GT99. I remember him because theft of art comes up very frequently in this podcast. Oh, we kind of addressed it.
Timely,
I want
timely.
I want to ask how much and when Stephen paid for the rights to use the Godfather's franchise art in his logo. I didn't think it was cheap. I have not paid for it. Come on. And is that a dig or something? I have not taken any piece of that. The font that we're using is not the Godfather font. It's something a
Parody
freeware.
law.
It's a little bit of parody first of all, and it's not the same font, so you don't have to pay for that. It's a freeware font that you can get on dafont.com. It's called Corleone, maybe, or there's a bunch of things that are mafia related up there that you can use, and it literally is. That's all. There's no. I'm showing it right now to everybody. A hand holding dice and a font that is reminiscent of, but is not the exact. And yes, it is covered under parody, if nothing else. But it is also a legal font to use. Okay, Jim Kayer. He's at Red Baron. As a person who has purchased too many items via crowdfunding, I'm curious to hear your perspective on the issue of how viable crowdfunding will be in this new era of tariffs that change so frequently. At the time of writing, the tariff currently enforced by the U.S. on the products made in China is 125%. Oh, so he missed the top. I have received updates from a number of companies who are in the production or fulfillment stage of their products, and the plan includes pausing production or shipment, eating the cost themselves, or passing the hat for people like me to contribute to the increase in unanticipated cost. At this point, I will be significantly reducing my crowdfunding purchases as I no longer have the same level of confidence that projects will be able to be fulfilled by the creators who design these games. Do you have any insight on the future of crowdfunding given the current emphasis on tariffs by the US government?
The insight that I have is the fact that this question is 5 months old.
Yeah, right. And we have covered it, of course.
Yeah.
But in brief, I mean, every person needs to make their own decision on whether or not they believe a given company will be able to fulfill. Smart companies have done various things to hold back products that they were in process of making in China until the tariffs. Oh, look at that! They're now went from 145 to 30. We can live with 30. We might have to pass we will have to pass some of those costs down to the consumer at some point. But
Yeah.
even at that, we can move forward and fulfill things. So
I,
it's
I think the important thing is how it's passed down to consumers. And the two big competing models are, do you take the tariff cost, which is on the production cost at the
right,
very beginning,
right.
and do you include it in the markup all the way down the chain, which ends up making your final cost of product 145% bigger? Or do you cut out the tariff cost, move it to the bottom, and make it a tax? And crowdfunding makes it much easier to make it a tax, to move it to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. Is crowdfunding, I think, is a much more viable option in the age of high tariffs than retail.
That's a very, very, very good point. And the math is you have to look at the math of these things. 30% tariff is going to be on your production cost.
Right.
If you spring that and you go like 5x, right? We talk about you go 5 times your fully landed cost, which is production and logistics, come bringing in, bringing the container in. Plus, you're supposed to add in on a fully landed cost, your art, your graphic design, and all that. You put that there, and then do you try to do a 5x with the tariffs included, or you put it after, which you should put it after, and then you would be making the same amount of money. Great thought thought experiment. Great thought experiment. I think let's take one more here. Again
All
from
right.
Vincenzo Alvarello. I love saying his name. PhD, Zacho Soldier. In the past, you said hobby games are recession proof. Do you still think this holds true in 2025? Yeah, I do. Because we're not in a recession. We start with that. We're not in a recession. The industry is doing well. Uncertainties are killing us. Added tariffs, the crazy container costs are killing us. But none of those were part of a recession. So I still
Yeah.
think that holds true. Certainty is the most important thing. And what we don't have right now is certainty, Corey.
I, I think the other interesting thing about this is board games are a luxury item. They're a luxury entertainment product. So theoretically, they should be the first to go off of people's budgets when a recession hits. However, in the past, and I've been looking at this for 20 years now, it hasn't held up. People need escape. And even when recession happens, people are still buying board games. Now, the market of board games might shift to less expensive board games, which sell better in a recession market, but people are still buying. I still believe that board games are recession proof.
I do as well. And that was a nice amount of questions we got to. Hey,
Oof.
Corey, where are we? We're like, our next question is going to be from the middle of April. So we're not that far behind. But now let's get down to playtesting. I have to sneeze. Trying to hold it back. I got the cough
Oh
button ready here.
man.
We're just
Yeah.
real people here, right? You know what? On CNN, would they do that? Would they like say, "I got to sneeze, hold on"? We're gonna be honest with you.
That's too funny. All right.
What do we
So
got here,
play
Corey?
testing. Last week I asked, Little kids are obsessive.
Yeah, they are.
Did you have a board game that you were absolutely obsessed with when you were, say, a child or a preteen? I remember as a little kid, I was an only child. I had a lot of board games. I desperately wanted someone to play board games with me. I would bug my parents to play anything. I remember one of the big ones in the closet was Aggravation, which had little marbles and you moved it around. It was basically Sorry. And yeah, they never played it.
So Adam C says, obviously Talisman, and he gives the Polish name for this, which is unpronounceable, of course. Where we would play for hours, including two main boards and a D8.
Yeah.
Also the Polish version of a Star Trader, but had to play multi-handed as none of my friends could be bothered to learn the rules. Very,
Oh
very good.
man.
Um, yeah, I mean, Talisman was a really big game back in the day, and people still play it, but
I was obsessed with Talisman. Of
yeah,
course, I wasn't a kid. I was
right.
married.
Yeah. Greg
So,
Senko, good friend. I'm going to get one more here. He thought
yeah.
Fireball Island was the cat's meow. I loved that game to death and would play it at every opportunity. Years later, Restoration Games brought it back, but as the old saying goes, sometimes you can't go home again. While they did a great job on the new version, it just couldn't capture the magic it had as a kid. And that's going to be the case, of course,
Yeah.
with a lot of these games.
Mark Spector, a friend of this channel,
Oh, yeah.
the founder of Grand Gamers Guild. Uh, when I was a kid, there were two games I played all the time with my mom: Greed and Haunted Mansion. That's amazing. I love that both of these are in the hobby realm.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Haunted Mansion was the one with the tiles, right? That you'd
Yeah.
flip over, you'd explore.
And Greed was an early uh, Donald X Vaccarino game.
Oh, oh, I do know that game. It was pitched to Stronghold. In fact, I do know it. Assuming it's the same exact one. Um, Marshall S says, I really like a Milton Bradley game called Bermuda Triangle. Simple game where the plastic could cloud would pass over the ship pieces and magnets would pick up the ship off the board.
I
When
love that.
I don't know this. I don't know this game though.
I remember it. I wanted it. I never played it.
when the cloud passes over your ships, it was random and which ships would get picked up. Fun time for 10 to 12-year-olds. And he has the game link. You can just go to Board Game Geek and type in Bermuda Triangle. It's game
It was
2296.
so cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
Joey Larson said, Magic the Gathering. I used to do half of my cousin's paper route for free just to get one card.
Wow. Wow.
That's yeah, I would do crazy stuff like that.
I'll do one more. I'm trying to pick people that don't normally get called on. Adrian Patterson from New Zealand. Hit the Beach was a staple of summer holidays. There was definitely a mastermind phase and euchre, always euchre. Oh, no. So he did Hit the Beach, Mastermind, and euchre are his games. It's interesting. I think people are going less with childhood and more with like, a little bit older because I don't think many people are playing Mastermind and
Well,
euchre. Maybe they are.
well, a lot of kids, remember, back in the day, depending on your age, a lot of parents played traditional folk trick-taking games, and kids could be obsessed with wanting to be involved in those games that they saw their parents play all the time.
Right.
Sean
Absolutely.
S. had one that really touches me. I can remember playing Grape Escape over and over with my dad. I was able to buy a new version to play with my son. It turned into the same thing it did then, squashing Play-Doh grapes in terrible ways. I'm
That's awesome.
excited to play Necromolds with him and maybe give him the same memories with a hobby style game. Grape Escape, you literally made these little grapes with a mold out of Play-Doh, and the whole game was torturing and squashing and destroying
Oh,
these little Play-Doh grapes as they went along. It was amazing.
that is
Terrible
awesome.
game, ridiculous fun.
That is awesome. So, Corey, as usual, you have created the next question, but literally, this question has been on the list. It's the last question that I would ever pick, but I had no other one, so I put it here. It is a terrible question, and I've actually
I,
said that in. I put it
it
on the
is
geek.
in the script. It is said, "This is a dumb question, Corey.
But
for a year.
yes, yes.
We've avoided doing this for
but
a year.
but on some level, it's actually a fun question, and we'll make it even more fun after you read the question. Corey, go ahead.
So, what is alphabetically the first game you own? I found this interesting.
It,
Uh,
so first, and read the rest. There's a little bit more there.
So, of course, we're going to do standard office system filing. So the question came up immediately, do numbers count? And I would say yes, numbers appear before letters.
I think that, well, because we have games behind me, I have games that start with numbers. Where do they show up? Do they show up at the end? Of course not. They show up at the beginning. So Corey, do you know what your first game alphabetically is in the games you own?
Yes,
I had to look it up. I had to figure it out. So, and I have figured it out. Go ahead.
I think I might win. So my first game alphabetically with numbers
No, yeah,
is 1 a.m. Jailbreak by
wrong,
Sashi and Sashi. It
wrong.
is
You
1A.
well, that's not as good as
It's technically one with a space,
uh,
which goes before 11 Nimmt or 12 Rivers,
so,
which are next in line.
no, no, you're wrong on all accounts because the mine is 1860. I own one
No,
18XX
no,
game.
no.
Oh
1
yes.
a.m. Jailbreak comes before
No,
1860.
think about that for a second. That's literally
One
impossible.
space comes before 18.
Is that
I
true?
filed. I owned a veterinary clinic. We had physical paper files.
I need an official. I mean,
All right.
I
All
need to
right.
ask ChatGPT or put it into Word and then have
Well,
it sorted.
as the tiebreaker, I will say my first alphabetical game, not with numbers, is a la carte, 1989, where you flip little pancakes with little tiny frying pans. It's a beautiful game.
The funny thing was I was going to say 23 Knives at first.
Oh, that's pretty good.
The Play to Z game. Because I love it. It's in my zeitgeist. I have it over here taking it to the convention. But then I realized, wait a minute, I think I have an 18XX game in this mess behind me. And I checked and I do. So I don't know if I have the ability to sort in there's you can sort in Word, can't you? I'm trying to find where is the darn
You
thing?
know, BGG lists your collection
I I
alphabetically.
don't have well, first of all, I don't
You
own
don't put your collection on
I
BGG.
I do not. Let's start with that. Um
Oh,
um Maybe Paula can tell us before the end of the show. Paula, oh, there she goes. She's around. What sorts first alpha numerically? 1860 or one space AM space jailbreak? Why don't you, can you figure that out while I finish the show?
I'm telling you, it's one.
I
You
think
go you
she's
go
not,
word by word. The
she's not
first
going to
word
go
is
do
a
it.
single one. Anyway, we can debate about that endlessly.
Yeah, we're gonna debate about this, but okay. So Paula's
But
not even, oh, she might be looking, but I think at this moment,
how about we put a little spice on this?
yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
let's say whoever whoever has the latest game that is their first alphabetically. So if your first alphabetically is like Stratego,
You would
we will
win.
we'll send you a prize.
Right. It's going to be a small prize. It's going to be, a little swag prize like my cool indestructible or destructible coasters. I'll send you something like that. Just throw that in the mail. And you don't cheat, right? Can't cheat. Should we send one
We're
to the person?
gamers. We don't cheat. We're
Yeah.
gamers.
Should we send one to the person also that has the
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 earliest?
the earliest?
Yeah, let's do that.
Why not? Why not? Why not? All right. So let us know what is alphabetically the first game you own, and numbers do count as normally before our alphabetic characters,
Sure, sure,
though
sure.
that's part of the question, so you can say no, but they will count. Um, and I've already put that on Board Game Geek, so go over there and answer that question. Who knows? Maybe you'll win a really little small prize.
Bonus question. Is this the dumbest question I've come up with?
And and Paula, wait, Paula's coming here. And what is it?
You go to sort
Sort.
game.
Yes.
And
Yeah, she's sorting games on Board Game Geek and what? Well, yeah, okay, upside down exclamation point is going to come first. Yeah, what? One space will come before? Oh,
Woo!
crap. Don't
I'm
make him
telling
right.
you,
Don't
I
make
did
him correct.
filing.
One space, but comes before 18. Are you sure? Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of
Paula
18x6.
Paula likes me better.
So you beat me again, Corey.
I know, I know.
You beat me again. Yeah, then it's 10. Oh, I hate you. In the meantime, let's go to the final scoring. With much hate for Corey. Thank you so much for listening and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. And if you want to be part of this podcast, there's many ways you can. Go to the guild, make sure you're a member, ask us questions for strategy and tactics, answer our question to you from playtesting. It's simple. I know you're smart. Go do it. If you want to interact directly with us on social media, pick the one of your choice: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, and it's the same handle across all those at Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play2Z Games, and Above Board TV. Follow us and talk to us. Special call out for the great YouTube channels that we're all on, and that's the ones we do the most work on: Portal Games Studio, the Podfather Gaming, and Above Board TV. We want to see you in person at this upcoming convention. Still a bunch this year. Dice
Yep.
Tower Retreat. By the time you hear this, it'll be over, but hopefully I'll see people there. Um,
HughesCon.
CuesCon, and other places that we're going to show up. And thank you, Jake Thompson, for being part of the team by professionally editing this podcast. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, and the in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. And you can be contacted to do your voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Corey, what do you got for us here at the bottom of the news? I think you put something here, and then I countered.
I
I countered.
I was kind of happy. So my high school alumni newsletter had
High school.
a familiar looking dude there talking about board games. So I thought it was pretty cool. So
Very, very cool that you would be called out in your high school alumni newsletter. Not even your college. Not even, where'd you go to college? Your first degree.
which
Yeah,
time? I've
which
gone to college like three times, I think. UC Davis, then Yale, then UC Davis.
Yale. Oh, he's so holds back on that. I didn't know that you went to Yale. You might have told me a long time ago. I forgot. Very
Yep.
nice. Very
Yep.
humble. Very humble, Corey. I applied to Yale and Harvard and Wharton at the University of Penn
There
and
you
maybe
go.
and maybe Columbia. And they didn't want me. None of
Well,
them.
Yale was almost entirely populated by people who do not get into Harvard. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I couldn't get in. I had great scores in high school, but I couldn't get in. So my claim to fame on one of these little things is, when I saw yours, I then remembered back. I was featured in the 1986, I think, could have been 85. I don't remember, but definitely not after that.
Wow.
Annual report for the company SunGuard Systems, publicly traded company. They purchased the company I was working for at the time, Devon Systems, and due to an amazing amount of feedback from Devon customers, seriously, they were very positive feedback from the work that I did in like software installation and guidance and things like that. They highlighted me in the annual report for the combined company. There were
That
people like,
is
yeah,
pretty funny.
yeah, my
And
mother to this day has a copy of that annual report and brings it out once in a while. God, do I look young.
by the way, that's when I graduated high school.
And there you go. That's the year. 86 is the year I also got my MBA. So there you go. From NYU, by the way. So an NYU graduate on
Yeah.
both. So, which is an excellent wannabe Ivy League institution. They tried to get into the Ivy League and then they kept saying, no, sorry, sorry, sorry. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening and watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.
See you later, everyone.